headline. In calamity, there is clarity, okay? If it seems weird to you that in America, let's go, some are choosing to support the efforts of a terror organization, you're right, that is weird. And if it seems like people are targeting Jewish Americans like this was the late 1930s, you're right, they are. And that's weird. So you need to focus on it and understand why. Now, here's the good news. Stop worrying about the other party, okay? We have much, much bigger problems. We have a common enemy, which has revealed itself, and it has been feeding off our manufactured fights, and it has several heads. We see Russian troll farms starting fights on whatever the culture war of the moment is. Race, right, left, reproductive rights, identity, and now the equities of the Middle East. They are assisting the head of the terror snake, Iran, the country that none of our leadership wants to take head on. They are using the internet to seed fundamentalism in our ranks. That's what's happening on campus. Now, the protests are real, just as the suffering in Gaza is real. And I believe the suffering is intolerable and should and must end. There must be more aid. There must be media access. But embracing a terror organization and wearing these Sadat scarves, we've never seen anything like this before. And a big reason for that is because what we're seeing now is not organic. Now, this should be an easy sell for the majority of you, right? Who are just onlookers, watching all the crazy on campus and in our politics. But for those who are in the trenches, let me just give me a second and just think about this, right? Then you can go back to threatening me online while you're saying you're for peace, and then you're telling me you want to kill me. But just see if you can keep two ideas in your head at once. Have you ever wondered why the Arab community doesn't provide the services and assistance to Palestine that Israel does, the great oppressor? Why Israel includes more Palestinians as citizens than just about any other Arab place relatively? And why are the Arabs saying no more refugees? I want to show you something. This is Egypt's border with Palestine. You see the big wall with all the razor wire? That's the Egypt side. Look like brotherly love? Does this look like just wanting Palestinians to not have to surrender their land? That's why we want them to stay there. Does that look like that to you? They don't want refugees because they fear what we seem to be inviting into our schools: fundamentalist extremism. Look at that wall, okay? Now, here's the real twist. Guess who's helping Egypt pay to keep out Palestinians? We are. Egypt asks the United States to help keep out the same people that they're saying they are protecting from an American-sponsored genocide. Again, Egypt asks America to help pay to keep out the same people that it says it wants to protect from genocide. Maybe rethink what TikTok is ramming down your throats. Maybe it's more complex. Maybe that's why it's been a mess for so long. So if the realities haven't changed, what has? The information war online, that's right. And Bernie Sanders, Senator, Vermont, says this situation could be Biden's Vietnam. That's interesting. He may be right, but I'm not sure that the battle is what happens in the Middle East as much as it is the efforts of enemies to poison minds online using the Middle East currently as an article of convenience, just as they used the impeachments, the Trump trials, reproductive rights, the culture wars. And we keep taking the bait to attack each other, growing weaker and weaker, and they love it. And that's why Hamas came out today and said the protests are growing great. We've never heard anything like that before. A terror organization celebrating what is happening in America. Iran and Russia and all the frenemies are getting what they want. And as for Senator Sanders, my question to you, sir, is what are you doing about it? These are not like the protests you were in the 60s about Vietnam. Protesting the war there wasn't tantamount to joining the Viet Cong. My question to the senator is, are you going to duck this war as well? Conscientious objection is not enough today, as it was for you back then. You must join with all leaders at home to fight against the foreign enemies that are affecting us here. It is the real war. We need action on what's happening online and on campus. You have to root it out and kill it. The problem is not just that you have a professor like this Thrasher guy at Northwestern who's clearly anti-Zionist and has called that country an apartheid state. Okay. The problem is that the campuses don't balance that idea and treat balance as if it was offensive. No wonder the campuses are so soft on what's happening. No wonder Northwestern cut them a deal. Who negotiates? You know, I saw this clip of Reagan talking with these people like 50 years ago, saying this became a problem the moment that you people decided to let the kids in your schools decide which laws to obey based on what suits their ideas of the moment. And these campuses are doing the same damn thing again because they are okay with it. Last night, I told you to follow the money, and you should. You also have to follow the news. This case in Texas with Democratic U.S. Representative Henry Cuellar, indicted with his wife, conspiracy, bribery, taken into custody Friday. The U.S. Department of Justice probe into the couple's ties to the former Soviet Republic of Azerbaijan. He said his actions were, quote, consistent with the actions of many of my colleagues and in the interest of the American people. I believe the first part, because there are way too many people in positions of power doing shady things, allegedly. Now, Azerbaijan is not Iran, but it's a weird place to be playing, given its role as a terror conduit. You got to pay attention. We got to find out what that was about, because there's a lot of money coming in here from bad places. We have a common enemy that is corroding us from within. So enough pandering to parties and their manufactured madness. I know the media loves the Trump trials and the latest flare-up, but that's just all for ratings and advantage of the parties. It's ignoring what's helping fuel why people seem to hate each other these days in America. It's time to see what is threatening us. Who will take on Iran? Who will stop these online assaults? You know, scenes like what we just saw at UCLA with the protesters and the counter-protesters, that's going to keep happening as long as there's weakness surrounding these kids who don't know any better. You know, the human mind, the male one at least, isn't even fully formed till 25 years of age. If you got a campus that's weak, that's allowing radicalism without balance, and lawmakers that don't seem to want to take on anything except what advantages them, what do you think you're going to see? This is the result of us attacking each other. And we are making it too easy for our enemies to fan the flames of our division online. We have seen the enemy, and it is not us. Who is going to step up and do the job? Our top story tonight is a Hamas official declaring the anti-Israel college protests a huge success. This cat wrote, "The students of today are the leaders of tomorrow. Protesters are on the right side of history. Biden will pay a heavy electoral price." I haven't seen such glee coming from a bad guy since Osama bin Laden was thanking Allah for how successful 9/11 went. When are we going to stop making it easy for our enemies?